First thing is, it is absolutely universally accepted that there are huge advantages for children to be at school from a health point of view, mental and physical, as well as from an educational and from a life course point of view. Those are overwhelming and they are not in any dispute. Everyone accepts that. And if you keep children out of school, every single one of the children you keep out of school is disadvantaged. This was a point that was made by all the chief medical officers and deputy chief medical officers together as a single document, because we wanted all to say how strongly we felt this is the case, and I'm sure all educational professionals would agree. The second point we made at that time, which is still the case, is the risk to children is incredibly low from going to school and indeed from catching COVID. COVID, one of the few good things about COVID is the risk to children, whilst not zero, nothing in COVID, the risks are zero. The risks are so much smaller than they are for adults and others. And therefore, we are confident that school, given the huge benefits of school, the very small residual risk is strongly in favour from the child's point of view. Everything is strongly in favour of children, whether primary or secondary, of going to school. And the data on that, I think, are unambiguous. The third question is, and this is the one which led to having to close schools this time round, as it did indeed on the first wave, is the impact this can have on R. And the view is, as things are falling down rapidly at the moment, there is some headroom to go ahead. And the first priority, as the Prime Minister has repeatedly said, is for schooling, and I think everyone would agree with that. We have a natural fire break at the Easter holidays, and we've got these 5 weeks to work out how things are going. So there's a large number of insurances built in, and there's several things we're going to be doing this time round on schools, which will take the risk even further down than it has been before, including greater use of testing, wider use of masks, and a whole variety of other things, which have been incredibly supported by many in the teaching professions. And I really would like to pay a huge tribute to what teachers have done over the whole period, because they've kept schools going for children of key workers all the way through, including the absolutely worst times. And they've done that because they believe so strongly in education, as all of us do. And then the final thing that is needed is obviously to make sure that, as far as possible, schools are a safe working environment relative to all other working environments, and many of the things we're talking about will help that as well, because teachers and other teaching professionals obviously want to consider that. But what you look at when you look at the data are that relative to many of the professions that continue to work through this, to nurses, care home workers, many other professions, teaching, there's not zero risk to teaching in any profession, but teachers are not a high-risk profession in the way that those kinds of professions are high-risk professions. But I don't want to diminish that. I'm just saying they should be made as safe as possible, including in environments where people aren't doing face-to-face classroom teaching. But to go back to the beginning, I think there is a really clear reason why everybody wants children to be in school, and what we therefore have to do is try and make that reduce the risks as far as we can for students, for parents, for teachers. And the final thing is the vaccination that's going on at the moment, what's called the Tier 6 vaccination for JCVI, includes people under the age of 65 who've got pre-existing health conditions. And for teachers and parents who are in those groups, the vaccination is accelerated because they're part of the early wave of vaccination. So I just want to put, it's a long answer, but that's because I think a lot of parents, a lot of families are wanting to think about this. Indeed, a lot of teachers, obviously, are wanting to think about this. And I wanted to give a really clear answer to that as best I can.